Well, hello and welcome. My name is Velma. You can connect with me at velmanolds.com. This is all about your leadership chat. What does that mean? You get to listen in on valuable insights from valuable leaders just like you. I want to encourage you to go ahead and subscribe so that you never miss another episode. And if this is of value to you, please share the nuggets that you're going to take away from all these great leaders. Hey, please give a big welcome to my special guest and your valuable leader, Karen Laos. Karen, welcome to your leadership chat.
Thank you.
Oh, it's so good to have you here. We've been waiting for this one, and I am super excited. I'm getting to know Karen well, and I want all of you to get to know her today as well. Karen, kick us off. I always love on the chat to ask the guests to share a little bit about who they are and then a little bit about what they do. Could you do that for the listeners today?
Sure. Well, who I am is a follower of dreams and I love adventure. So, one of the things that I like to tell people is that my first dream, very big dream, was to move to San Francisco from Minnesota. And that was one. And I packed up
Yeah.
a bunch of stuff in the trunk of my car, drove cross country, and I never left. Been
Oh
here
my
for
God.
almost 30 years.
Wow.
And then the other thing is that I will go anywhere, anytime. And what I mean by that is
Okay.
that when there's an invitation, I always remember my mom used to say, when you get invited to a party, just go.
Right. Right.
What to me, the idea behind that is to be open to opportunities and seize the moment.
Oh,
So the probably one of my favorite adventures was when I decided that I wanted to follow another dream of living in Manhattan. So I spent the entire month of my 50th birthday living in Manhattan because I always had a dream to live there. And I thought, well, why don't I just rent an apartment there and see what it's like? So I had a great time. So that's a little bit about me personally.
mhm.
And from as far as what I do, I ultimately help women speak up and ask for what they want.
Yeah.
And that is very important to me because I have a going back a little bit personally, but connected to my professional career, is that I had a dad when I was 6 years old who gave me a few dollars at a flea market and said, go have fun, but never pay full price. And I
Right.
thought, what? I never knew what negotiation was. But again, how would I at 6 years old? So that's when I started and felt this confidence around asking. And he always used to say, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. You need to ask if you want to get. But simultaneously, I had this mom who was very traditional. My parents both were in a traditional marriage, and I'm the last of 9 kids.
Right.
And what was modeled to me in the home was that you had to do what the man tells you to do, and you didn't have a voice
Mhm.
if in the home. Ironically, my mom was a powerhouse in the community, involved in all of these volunteer things. She was heads of lots of different things. And so it was a little bit of a confusing message. So I took that into my career as my interpretation was I could be as confident as I wanted when I knew I was adding value. So I had no problem asking for salary increases,
Yeah.
going for anything I wanted. But at the same time, I still had that feeling similar to what your mission is around the valuable leader. I still had this feeling like, oh, will people really like me
Yeah.
if I share my ideas if they're unpopular? What
Mm.
if I share something and people are upset? I mean, I grew up that you make sure everybody's happy around you.
Okay.
So I'd say that's a little bit that led me to where I am now. And so the nuts and bolts of what I do is keynote speaking, specifically on executive presence
Yeah.
and messaging.
Mhm.
So I help people know what to say and how to say it.
Yeah, I love it. And we do share that on the executive presence side because I'm all about owning
Yes.
your personal leadership brand and making a name for yourself. And so
Yes.
beautiful. I love this. This is so good. This is so juicy. I'm excited.
Oh, good.
I'm excited for us. Okay, let's jump in because everyone always is interested. I hear back from our listeners and they're like, love the fact that you give guests an opportunity to publicly acknowledge people that have helped them along the way. And the question I have for you is, who in your life is a valuable leader that person, or maybe more than one, that you would say, Velma, if it wasn't for this person, I would not be Karen, who I am today. I would not be this woman. So tell us who that person is and tell us why they made such an impact. How did they do it, Karen?
Sure. Well, it's Dennis Del Valle,
Mm,
and he is part of the Townsend Leadership Program. He leads
okay.
the Townsend Leadership Program in Southern California.
Hmm.
And it started with his mentor and mine originally, John Townsend, who founded the Townsend Leadership Institute. But Dennis leads, as did John, or they both led a program together called the Ultimate Leadership Workshop, the Ultimate Leadership Program. Well, ultimately, let me go back. It's called the Townsend Leadership Program. And it is a group of 10 people that meet once a month that dive into the character issues that underlie why we make leadership decisions,
Okay.
the decisions that we make that are good, and sometimes the ones that are bad or not so
Right.
good. And why this was so significant is that it's a very intense personal growth program that really
Hmm.
looks at the things under the surface that get in our way.
Right.
And Dennis he led me for a number of years, and his compassion and his kindness and his
Hmm.
care for me and my growth
Hmm.
is really unprecedented. To
Right.
have someone feel so vested in you,
Hmm.
and that has been very significant in what has helped me to shift in my growth journey to be able to get to this point where I can lean into the things that I'm really good at and that I love doing, and
Hmm.
not being so worried about approval and everybody else. Because when you start diving into the issues that you had with your upbringing, with your parents, and all of these things, getting to the root of the problem, then you can be free. And that is also my ultimate goal, that with women being able to speak up and ask for what they want, there's an ultimate freedom there, because when we are so worried, and ultimately also my mission is to eradicate self-doubt in 10 million women. And when we get rid of that self-doubt, now not to say that we're going to totally eliminate it, let's be honest, but it's getting to the point where you can be free to be yourself,
Hmm.
not worry about what other people think of you.
Hmm.
And I know that we share that very much, of being able to express the real you.
Yes, and I love the fact that you are really speaking into being yourself. And I shared with you earlier on the chat the story behind the Nike shirts, because
Yes.
well, if you look at my career, Karen, you will see 20 years suited up. And I always say, if you want to see how I clean up, go to the website. I know how to clean up. I wear the Nike shirt for the purpose of facing your fear and just doing it and being yourself and being okay. And that's why this is positioned as a chat. Just have a chat, have coffee, tea, water, or soft drink, anything safe to drink on social media. And I just love how you positioned the story around Dennis and how he just came along and poured into you, and you could just tell that the having someone care that much about you and your development is critical to being a valuable leader. Wow, I hope Dennis gets to hear this, because
Yes, that would be nice.
I think that's the whole idea when we have a public platform and we can acknowledge others, that it's just a beautiful thing, because sometimes they don't even know. And
Right.
nice.
Right. Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right. All right. All right. I know there's more leaders, but we'll move on for the sake of time. I always like to turn that question upside down, and I like to ask the other side of it. And so my second question to Karen is really around, now that you know what it takes for someone to be a valuable leader in your life, you know the joy that you have and the satisfaction. How does Karen pay it forward to help others be valuable leaders?
Sure. Well, I am so committed. And that's what's really fun and really amazing for me to hear is when I've done the market research and recently interviewed, not me, but a third party recently interviewed some of my clients to
Right.
find out, what is it that you get from Karen, basically.
Right.
Like, why do you stay working with her? Or why did you hire her? And I was really touched by the answers because there was definitely a prominent theme. They all said, well, she's very practical with what she teaches, but the thing that really stands out about her is that she cares deeply about us personally.
Right.
And I'd say that probably one of my biggest gifts, whether somebody is paying me or not,
Right.
I am very curious and I love asking questions about people.
Yeah.
And I can still remember one of the things that my mom taught me by example when I was traveling back to Minnesota visiting her one day, and she invited me to this luncheon.
Mm.
And as we walked in, she immediately I didn't know that she was doing this until she turned to me and said, let's sit at that table over there. It's a round of 8. There
Mm.
were 3 people and then 1 on the other side at that same table. And she noticed that no one was talking to that other person. She said, let's make sure we sit down and draw her out and include her in the conversation. And I thought, oh, wow. When looking back at that, my mom
Mhm.
was so intentional. And I'd say that must have been something that I picked up from her, but it isn't something that I would have normally said, oh, this is what my mom does. But it was that
Mhm.
one moment that I thought, wow, that is a really good snapshot of the rest of her life. And
Sure.
so for me, if I can even take a moment, so thanking when I'm in airports, which I am a lot, I do my best to thank the janitor if I see her in the bathroom or wherever I can be to help people feel seen.
Mhm.
And another very significant event, which was one moment in time, which you never know how things are going to affect you. But
Yeah.
when I was a young woman, I'd say young, probably teenager or something, somebody said that you should always look at people as each individual that you come into contact with as if they have a sign above their head that says, make me feel important.
Wow. Wow.
And that has really stuck with me.
That is so beautifully said. And your mom, she lived it. And like
Yes,
sometimes we know these things when we've experienced them, like as a child, but then
right.
it doesn't resonate with us the true meaning until later in life. Like you said, when I was a lot younger, it came to me, wow, my mom was really intentional in what she was doing to recognize that there's a person there and to care about them.
Yes,
Yeah. Oh,
yes,
wow. I love that. And then you're now paying that forward in caring for those that you serve, whether you're standing on stage or whether you're, coaching virtually or however you serve in the work that you do today. That's a beautiful thing. And what a compliment to hear from third party research. Congratulations. I mean, that's
thank you. It was very touching. I was very moved.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. All right, you're ready for this one. I know. Not that you haven't dropped already a bunch of big nuggets. Third question is around a big takeaway. And so I always love to give the guests an opportunity to share something on their heart that they would say, whoever's listening in, I don't know where you are in your season of life, but this is what you would say to them now that would help them as they go forward to have more of a valuable leadership in role in their life personally and professionally. What would that big takeaway be, Karen?
As far as what I might have done, like if I were coaching myself or someone in my shoes,
Wherever is on your heart today, maybe it's something you wish someone had told you a long time ago, or
got it.
that's the idea behind it. Yeah.
Okay, got it. Well, it's the title of my book,
Uh-huh.
Trust Your Own Voice. I
Right.
would have done that much sooner. Too
Mm,
often I was looking to other people, always thinking that, oh, other people must know more than me or know
yeah.
something better than me. And it's interesting because on one hand, I had a lot of confidence in not being afraid to speak up in so
Yeah.
many situations. So I think we're all complex as human beings, right? We have these situations. We might have a one nugget where time and place where we don't speak up or we do a thing, but we do it everywhere else in a certain way.
Sure.
But it's truly the trust your own voice piece because I can think about a very specific moment, which is really part of the turning point for me,
Mhm.
which is where, here I was a keynote speaker for a company for 14 years, traveling all over the world for places like Google and Facebook and Sony and all these big brands. But here I was at this moment in a room with my peers, no less, on the leadership team,
Mhm.
tongue tied. I could not get the words out for this thing I was supposed to present because I had an internal conflict. My boss had suggested I present on this, and I didn't think it was the right decision for the
Right.
company.
Right.
And yet I was taught that you do what your parents, look at me. I'm still like you do what your boss tells you.
Sure.
And so I didn't question her, but I kept wrestling with it over a period of a couple of months. And anyhow, it left me in this room, and my boss had to shut down the meeting.
Mm.
She was very kind about it, but said, "Hey, why don't we table this?" And then she took me into her office after, and she said, "This is another example where you didn't trust your gut.
Mm.
You could have just said, 'Hey, everybody, I'm not sure why we were meeting about this in the first place. Let's table this and move on.'" And that never would have occurred to me. The fact that I would have had permission to do that because
Mhm.
I was so committed, again, from my upbringing, that
Yeah.
you do what your boss tells you no matter what.
Right.
And that was the moment that I realized, first of all, it was absolutely mortifying, really embarrassing moment for me in the boardroom with the group. And so I said, I'm never going to let that happen again. And that's when I really went to that next level of growth, because I had already been on a path of growth in a lot of ways,
Sure.
but I went to that next level of figuring out, why did this happen? Let's
Mhm.
eliminate that.
Mm. Oh, wow. And you have, and you are doing that to help others as well, eliminate, you know, find your voice. But what a powerful way to give yourself permission is what I took out of that.
Yes.
You have the power to give yourself permission. You don't need anyone to tell you to do that.
Exactly. And trust yourself. You
Yeah.
know more than you think. I feel like a
Mm.
lot of people are still looking to other people to find the answers, to do, I had a friend tell me once, "You make good decisions." And that alone,
Right.
that statement was
Mhm.
very boosting for me. I thought,
Right.
"Oh, I do make good decisions."
We need that, and I always say that when you have the opportunity to coach, I always say borrow from my belief until you can get there. Because
Mm.
the biggest thing is believing in yourself. And sometimes you're not there, and you need, like what your friend did for you, was give you that reassurance to say, you know what, Karen, you make good decisions. And you're like, yes, I do. And golly, I'm gonna make another good one. And then you start to own that belief in yourself. And I
Yes.
truly believe that everyone has value and everyone can be a leader, but not everyone leads from a position of their value, who they
Yes.
and so you beautifully said, thank you for that. Give yourself permission, hear your voice, listen to trust your voice, as Karen said.
Yes.
Okay, well, we're winding down because I could talk to Karen if you guys haven't figured out. I could talk to Karen for like a long time. Kindred spirits,
Likewise. Yes.
just really love your heart. Karen, how can listeners lean into you, learn more about you, about your book, and just follow you or connect? How would they do that?
Yes. So my website is the hub for everything, which is KARENLAOS.com.
Yep.
I also have a podcast called Ignite Your Confidence. And I am always posting short videos on Instagram that get streamed to my YouTube channel. And if you want to follow me every Tuesday night at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, I have a show called The Confidence Corner live on Instagram.
Oh man, so many ways to find. And then if we're in doubt, I always say, have no fear. Just Google her name, like I
Yes.
did, and it will just pop up everywhere because Google can find anyone, Karen, and you will find Karen. But we'll go ahead and make sure that her main connection, the website, so you can get all access to everything, is here in the show.
Oh, and I should tell the listeners, Velma,
Mhm.
that if you want to go to my website, there's a wonderful resource called 9 Words to Avoid and What to Say Instead.
Yes.
So if you want to grab that, I'm very proud of that. I'm really happy with the feedback that I'm getting from it.
Right.
And so it's very practical.
Okay, excellent. So you even got a free gift here from Karen today. Wow, just special stuff. Karen, thank you so much for being on Your Leadership Chat.
You're welcome. Thank you for
This,
having me.
yeah, it's just been awesome. And just want the listeners to know that Karen has a heart for wanting to serve leaders. So I hope that you found that of great value today. Hey, thanks so much for watching another episode of Your Leadership Chat. I hope that you've enjoyed this video. Make sure that you hit the subscribe button here and tap that bell icon so that you never miss another episode. I hope too that you'll give us a thumbs up on the video for a like. And then if you feel led, please share the video with those who need to see it. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time on Your Leadership Chat. Bye for now.